The Shepnaz Podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shepnaz Podcast. I'm Joe, and I'm your host today. And yesterday, we started a conversation with some of our youth about their experiences with Winter Retreat. And we are going to jump back into that conversation already in progress. So here is our youth with Pastor Bryanna. So we've at least covered some of your most fun moments. Can you think of maybe what was like one of the most meaningful moments for you? Who wants to go first on this one? Yeah.
Worship was amazing. They had a really good band and the singers were awesome. And it was just like a good time and like, it was just great.
I did think I saw a reel. I think that you might have posted that. So maybe we'll get that in there as well. And like, I was impressed. Like it was, it was pretty nice setup and everything, and like they did it right, and it looks like you guys were having a great time because everybody was bebopping along. Praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah. All right, so good worship. Gabby, what was the most meaningful time for you?
I'm actually also going to say worship because it was just a very nice experience to have all of the other 300-something kids just go up to the front of the stage just singing along, whether they're doing it sitting down at their seats or they're actually up in front by the worship band. It was just a really nice experience to be involved in.
Do you feel like it's a little bit different being able to worship with more people like your same age? Like, does that help in the kind of the freedom of worship and that kind of thing?
I would say yes, because you also could feel all of their energy going. Like when we had more upbeat songs, we would like jump up and down. But when there's like more quieter songs, we would just all like feel the presence of God and everything. Mm-hmm. So I would say it was a lot nicer being with kids more of our age because we could feel what everyone was feeling.
That's cool. You know, for me, I've noticed like at worship times, now like if I'm just having like a private worship moment, you know, and I'm by myself or whatever, then I don't have any apprehensions about raising my hands or, you know, being physical in how I'm worshiping. And I would also say on the other extreme, like if I'm at a Maverick City concert or whatever, and there's like 3,000 other people that all are doing this and they're being physical in their worship, it's much easier for me to do that also. Now, in between, sometimes it's hard. In between, it's like, I don't want to be the only dude, and it's sometimes for good motivation. Like, I don't want to draw attention to myself. You know, I don't want to be that guy. Like, nobody else is doing anything, and I'm over here dancing by myself. But at the same time, yeah, you know, I guess we should try to be careful about not letting what other people might think, you know, somehow influence how we're trying to worship. So, Cheeto, what was your most meaningful? Like, was it the worship?
It actually came after the worship.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I thought you guys were all three going to answer the same thing to every question I asked.
No. I'll be different. It was definitely after the worship, we all came and surrounded one of our friends who has not been on the podcast, I think. That was Austin. And we were just, you know, giving him the love of God. And I saw a guy sitting down, you know, by himself, and and he had his head down, and I just wrapped my arms around him, you know. And what's funny about that is I thought it was one of our guys, and when Luke told him and me that we were going back to our cabin for small groups, he looked up and was not who I was thinking. But it still, you know, I still felt the love of God, you know, me laying the love of God onto him because he seemed like he needed it. So that was definitely the most meaningful moment. that also was my number 2 funniest one.
On February 14th, we will be observing an Ash Wednesday time of remembrance as we look toward Easter. On Ash Wednesday, Christians around the world gather to reflect on our mortality, a call for repentance, and prepare our hearts for the season of Lent. Join us for this at 6:30. Kids are welcome, and there will be childcare for the youngest and wiggliest kids.
So we talked about kind of the most fun moments, the moments that were most meaningful to you. So other than Bryanna just getting really nasty on the way home, is there anything else that like you're like, I wish we could do this, or wish we could tweak this? Is there anything like that, or you're like, you know what, they got it right, so we're just gonna.
The snow tubing was fun, but they did it in the day when it was snowing. So when you go down, the snow was just like pelting you in the face, and it just made it like unenjoyable. Well, it was still enjoyable, just not as good as it was like last year.
All right. So the snow tubing. No, any was this like we agree on this, or?
I have a different one.
All right. Let's hear Gabby.
It was on Sunday right before we were going home. Tito, he went like almost an hour long, so we were running behind. So I feel like maybe have more time management on the last day, because some people had other things they had to go to. Because I know for Bryanna was stressing out because she had to be somewhere, but we were running late, so she was like in a hurry.
Yeah, that's also poor management on my part.
Well, I'm sure they did not know to anticipate that a preacher might go long. So that was probably hard to plan for, but that's something they should probably keep in mind. All right, Cheetah, did you have one or no?
No, all around it was pretty good. I mean, last year's weather was a lot better, so they had more outdoor games, but, we couldn't really affect the elements. So we kind of just came at what hit us. It rained a lot.
Yeah. All right. So, any kind of takeaways that you had from the weekend? Was there anything in your private times, or maybe during the messages, that you felt like God was working with you on some things? Anything that you'd be willing to share, like things that you felt like, hey, God is working on me on these things? Anything on that?
For me, it was more reassurance, because that's the funniest thing about me is every time like I get a really good message, the message applied to me a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So like this one was about dropping baggage and focusing on God. And I actually started, when the year started, I started, doing like my own little Bible plan. And, it was sort of like dropping all this time I'd give to like other things, like, instead of spending 3 hours playing video games, spend like maybe a half hour, in the Word, and then spend maybe, an hour on video games or something like that. So that one definitely applied to me, and it was kind of that reassurance, like that was a wise decision.
Okay, cool. Anyone else? Baron, Gabby, did you feel like there was a takeaway from the weekend that you would want to share? It's okay if it's not. I'm just asking you, giving you the opportunity. All right. So, Bryanna, tell us a little bit about some of the things that are up and coming for youth. Now, on the day that we're recording, you've got the Central Complex all decked out. We're having the Valentine special. But what are some things that are coming?
So we have a couple of exciting things. We have Blast coming up, which is basically, again, coordinated by the district, where same churches come together and they compete in different like sporting events, or there's art and music and preaching. Like there's really so many things that they can do. So we have a volleyball team going, basketball team going, and usually we have students that do music and art and things like that. So that is in March. And then really the next big thing we have is we are going on a mission trip to Nashville in June. So the end of June, we'll be with Trevecca Nazarene. They're the ones that put it on. And so we're pretty excited about that. That's a new thing that we just, like, the opportunity just came up within the last few weeks. So kind of getting ready for that. But we're excited. So yeah,
Cool.
and just finish out the school year strong.
All right. Now tell us a little bit about just kind of the regular stuff. Like, what does youth ministry look like at Shepherd, and what are, like, the age breakdowns and kind of things like that?
Yeah. So our regular schedules are Wednesday evenings from 6:30 to 8, and on Sunday evenings from 6 to like 7:30. The age range is sixth graders up through seniors in high school. And for Wednesdays, like tonight, we have a Valentine's party. It's called Fuse. So the first Wednesday of every month is kind of like an outreach event. So we'll do different parties, different activities. I'm trying to think like of some examples, like bonfires or what was that?
A lock-in.
Yeah, we had like a lock-in. We had a glow night. So and then the other weeks we'll do small groups. The 2 weeks after that, and then the last week is a typical like traditional youth group where we'll have worship and I'll give the message, so it's like a full shebang. And then Sunday nights are more of like a small group, so it's called Fervor. Our numbers are smaller that night, so it's a more intimate setting, and we just like dive into the Word and have good discussions. So yeah, and then we have these events like retreat and things like that scattered throughout the year. So
Pretty cool. So, in summary, you've got, like, the first week of the month is kind of the outreach event. Then you do a couple weeks of kind of a group with small groups kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the fourth is the big shebang.
the big shebang.
Yeah, cool. All right. I'll just give you guys the opportunity if there's anything you'd like to share, kind of a plea of like your experience with the youth group. And whether, kind of a call out to those that may not be participating yet, but could be. What would you say? Like, is this, you're here even early before youth group, so I'm assuming, like, you guys are into this. So tell me what this means to be able to have this on a weekly basis, and to be able to have these events, and to be able to have, the full shebang at the end of the month and all that.
I'll start off. Well, the full shebang, for me at least, allows me to get on the stage and worship with a bunch of my friends, and I get to have that whole shebang of praising God. And youth group was always that thing where I looked forward to it every week, and I still do, because it was always like that thing where I always heard, like, don't let Sunday be the only day, and then I find out, oh, it isn't the only day. I have Wednesday. So it makes Mondays and Tuesdays a bit more bearable, because that in the middle of the week you sort of get that little refresh,
boost.
That refuel of Jesus.
Nice. Well, and it helps you, stay more consistent in your walk.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share? Gabby?
Well, for me, I came to Shepherd about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago. And at my old church, we didn't really have youth group. So it was because our numbers were so small. It was like maybe 2-3 kids every week. So it was really nice to actually be able to come to like a youth group with a bunch of other people. And they were so welcoming, even though they didn't even know me and my older sister at all. They were so welcoming, and they just felt like a really tight-knit, close family.
Nice. So it's, what I'm hearing is like these connections that you're able to make, and, correct me if I'm wrong, but even in the world of all the social media and everything that we have, and all the ways that you guys make contact with each other, there's still loneliness to deal with. And there's still that sense that you don't, you're not always part of something. And this is something that you can be a part of, where you belong, where you feel like there are others around you that are going through similar things and want to be there for you. Would you like to share on that, or just amen it or anything?
Well, I had an older brother who was here before me, so I always was really excited to get into youth group, and they did not let down. This is one of my favorite things that if anyone asks oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm going to youth group. I'm so excited. I love it so much. And I invite people to come with me, and sometimes they say no, but I don't really. That's their decision, and it's not I don't have to force them to come. But it's just such a wonderful place to be, because as Gabby said, everyone's so welcoming, and even if they don't know you, they get to know you, and it just makes you feel you're wanted, and it's just very nice.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to clear the air. Is there anything else anybody wanted to share? Bryanna, is there anything that you wanted to hit on?
No, I'm grateful for these guys. They are honestly make my day, and it's a blessing getting to serve with them and have them a part of my life. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of this. It's always encouraging to be able to hear kind of your experiences and coming back, and to be able to share it with other people, because they can kind of live vicariously through that. But also for those of your friends that you're sharing this to, that they know that they could be a part of this too, that this is not an exclusive club. So we hope that you will follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Also keep up with everything that's going on in the church by going to shepnaz.org. For Pastor Bryanna, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.